So first of all, I would like to point out, out of the West 5 starters, there are 4 LA players, 2 Clippers, and 2 Lakers. Now, wow.
Give us those names, bro.
LA.
Give us those names. Wait, hold on. Before we give us the names, I'm sorry, I was telling you to do that. LA, man. You just can't. Why doesn't LA have a football team after all this? They have so much star power out there. It's crazy.
It's coming. When you look at how the crowd has been, attending and reacting to the way the Clippers and Lakers are playing, I think a football team's got to come.
Right. And I think,
of course, they used to have
the Los Angeles Rams, correct?
And I take it, and I take it back to, early 80s in the USFL with the Los Angeles Express, I think it was. Anyways, Steve Young was their quarterback.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you need any amateur opinions and ideas, and Bo Hebert knows more about the USFL than any other 20-year-old I know. So.
USFL, United States Football League, I think it was 83 through 85 that league was about, started by Donald Trump. But we have a USFL player
coming up next Wednesday.
Yes.
Greg Greeley was a defensive back here at Nicholls State University. He went and played in the USFL. I'm not sure what team. Do you know what teams went and played?
Not sure.
Not sure. We'll have all that information for you next week. The show is not ending. We're just giving you a heads up on what's to come. Talking USFL, talking Los Angeles, talking the All-Star break, talking about the Los Angeles players starting for the West and the NBA All-Star game. Greg Greeley is a defensive back here at Nicholls who played in the USFL. He has the record for most interceptions in a season or in a career by a Nicholls defensive back. And right now, it's safe to say, while we're talking Nicholls defensive backs, right now, baby, Nicholls is defensive back in terms of the Southern Conference.
Yeah, very true. And again, Reed is a great defensive back and was, but his story was he's now back at school at Nicholls.
Right. Shows you the commitment he has to the university.
Yes.
He's coming back and finishing up his degree.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome that he would decide to come back to Nicholls instead of going someplace else, because he made connections and has friends at other universities, but he decided to come back to Nicholls, and I think that's huge.
And get that Harvard on the Bayou degree
that's
there,
big
why you did,
I hope everybody watched Swamp People last night. It was awesome.
Yeah. Jordan. All right, so back to the West starters. Back to LA.
Completely. Let's flip the page. Let's go back to the NBA All-Star game. Bo, tell us those starters, please.
Chris Paul, guard, LA Clippers. Kobe Bryant, guard, LA Lakers.
Beast.
Blake Griffin, forward, LA Clippers. Andrew Bynum, center, LA Lakers. And the only one that's not part of the LA is your own Durantula, Kevin Durant, Oklahoma City.
So you got sellout,
who that?
An old timer,
yeah,
an animal, a chump, and Durant, and the Durantula. I think it just shows you where the West has gone.
Are you calling Chris Paul the old sellout?
No, I don't
have some bad blood.
I don't have necessarily bad blood with Chris Paul, and I understand. There's a Hornets franchise up until the NBA bought it, and even right now is a wreck. I mean, we've won 4 games, and right now I'm still wearing my Hornets shirt, baby. No Mardi Gras series.
You do believe in blue.
I do believe in blue, and I think most of the people in Louisiana should, but right now they have every reason to scrutinize the New Orleans Hornets franchise, and I completely understand why Chris Paul decided to go elsewhere. My buddy Phil the Thrill DeVay, big sports guy out of LSU, he's a friend of mine. He actually read that David West and Chris Paul had initially wanted to end their careers in New Orleans, and then it just got all out of hand. And our GM we ended up firing Byron Scott. Then our GM ended up coaching the team, and then we sold the team to the NBA, and it was just a bunch of uncertainty. So you can't necessarily blame Chris Paul for wanting to leave. But what I was talking about, really, when I think I was wrong in calling Andrew Bynum a chump, because he's not.
Yeah.
But
he
stepped his game up, especially because I think he wants to stay in LA, and everybody in LA at the beginning of the year wanted him out for Dwight Howard.
Yeah, I think Bynum has stepped up huge, and in that Pau Gasol has somewhat stepped down a little bit. But this is another interesting thing about the All-Star game. Pau Gasol did not get picked for the West, but his little brother did, Marc Gasol.
Who has every reason to be, because I mean Marc Gasol is one of the most dominant big men in the NBA right now.
They're both, along with Chris Kim and Kimmy County, as Leanderthals or bipedal hominid the Homo erectus, that type of thing.
The alpha males, right?
Yeah, the alpha males. But
no, that might be a stretch. I think one thing we need to pay attention to, and listen to the names right now for the All-Star centers in the NBA. Andrew Bynum and Marc Gasol. New guys. Just shows you kind of.
They've been in the league for a while,
right?
But they've just started.
But the NBA has kind of
next level.
The NBA has kind of dropped off when you're talking post players.
Yeah.
You don't have many dominant post players in the NBA right now. You have teams scrapping just to get guys that are over that 6'10" mark, you know? And I think teams play with those guys just because they need them. And a lot of guys are, I think right now you have some big men starting that I don't even know 20 years ago if they're even touching the floor.
Yeah, it's kind of like that evolution of the game scheme we've been talking about.
Evolution.
Yep. The football scheme where the game has evolved, it's not that smash mouth game. Basketball is kind of the same way.
Right, exactly.
It's not that defensive, battle where you don't even have a 3-point line. Now it's really spread out. But I think when you have those dominant postmen, you can win a championship right there.
You look at how far the league's come, and just the athleticism of all these smaller guys is extremely skyrocketed. I mean, your dominant players right now are the smaller guys in the NBA. It's not the old days where it was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and all the post players really making noise. It's all the shooting guards, the point guards, the fours, the power forwards. Well, it's a weak power forward league, I know. I know you have Amari Stoudemire types and David West and stuff like that, but just really as a whole, the NBA, in my opinion, has dropped off in terms of the big men. And I think that's something that the Hornets need to look for possibly in the draft. And the draft, a lot of teams are going to need to acquire a lot of needs. And I think Bo has something on college basketball right now, Bo?
No, I do not, but I have something on the draft.
That's what I'm saying. Right,
yes.
right.
Oh, right. Now, talk about the Hornets. Now, we're 4-20.
4 and a lot. Let's
4
just say
and a lot.
We just lost, by the way, talking Hornets. Will Ferrell, if y'all got to check it out, did the announcement.
Are they actually trying to be the real Flint Tropics? I mean, come on. Jackie Moon actually came.
Jackie
to
Moon,
the
that was the
Hornets
second game, and unfortunately, I didn't get to go to that game, and I had previous commitments. I think Jackie Moon did a good job of announcing that game. Bo, what do you think? I know my favorite one was he announces Emeka Okafor, and he goes, I think he majored in business, but minored in love.
Yeah. I mean, just a Will Ferrell classic. Trying to get some fans out there.
Will Ferrell did a good job, and I think he understands the Tropics idea of it when talking about the Hornets. We're just trying to get fans in the seats right now because we just want to keep our franchise. And right now we're going to have a franchise, and there's definitely good things to come for the New Orleans Hornets, but right now it's rough.
Yeah, so the goal is to turn it around like the Flint Tropics did with good old Jackie Moon. We need a draft. I mean, that's what I was saying. By the draft, NBA, of course, has a lottery pick. If you're last in the league, you don't necessarily get the first pick. But the Hornets will have a great percentage to get that first pick with that lottery, in that they're one of the worst. They're second worst record in the NBA.
Right, and I think something people need to notice about the Hornets is that, some of those scores have been blown out as of late, but we've also had a lot of injuries. But I think a big thing is the Hornets go out there and they bust their butts every night on the court, and they try to do the best that they possibly can in order to put a good product on the floor for the fans in New Orleans.
And it'll pay off, and like you said, we've been talking about it ever since we started the show. Young and experienced teams, it just takes time. And
with the roster right now, we have a lot of guys. We have a lot of great role players on our team right now. We just don't have that one closer, and I think that is something that can be announced in the draft.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You get that star player, you get that D Rose, some player like that that can just take your program.
And hopefully we can re-sign Eric Gordon, and we can do big things with him leading the helm. But I just hope
he's been injured so
he's got knee problems. So I'll see what happens. I won't see. We will all see what happens with Eric Gordon in terms of his knees and his contract. But Bo, let's get back to NBA All-Star Weekend. He's BAUX Bo Hebert. I'm Big Red. You're listening to the C Q Exchange on 91.5 KNSU. Woo! Sports. Tell me more. Okay, all right, Bo.
All right, here we go.
Talk All-Star.
What do you think about the Eastern Conference starting lineup? We got D. Wade and LeBron James from the Miami Heat, obviously.
Right, South Beach repping.
And we got last year's NBA MVP, Derrick Rose from the
D.
Bulls.
Rose, more than deserving of that. He's
Yeah.
awesome.
We got Dwight Howard from the Magic. We were talking, big men that aren't dominant.
right.
Dwight Howard.
Is dominant.
Whoa.
How many people can you say are as dominant as him?
None.
Now, how do you
You
think?
know what I'm saying?
I know me and you are young bucks, Bo, and I think a lot of people out there. There might be some listeners out there that have seen Magic and have seen Kareem that really have got to see those greater big men. Do you think Dwight Howard could hang with those guys in their prime?
I do, but I think Dwight Howard differs from, he doesn't really have that offensive shot that
Right.
those players have.
The nice fancy running hook.
Yeah.
Just the real smoothness.
The good old schoolyard triple threat days of the game.
The silky
The high
smooth
shorts.
factor
Yeah.
when it comes to playing basketball, the old school mentality of just the running hook and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
but Dwight Howard is a banger, and he physically, none of those guys, I mean, this guy physically is just a man. He's a Griffin. He's a beast. He's a Gryffindor.
Right.
He's a Blake Gryffindor.
He's a Griffin. Is that a Harry Potter reference, Bo?
Yeah, I think so. I bet so.
I'd like to see Dwight Howard play Quidditch. What about you?
Oh, man. Dwight Howard and Blake Griffin catching that
I'd
little
like
snitch.
to see him get Lucius Malfoy on their
Oh,
all right.
straight up like
Anyway.
that. All right. So we got
We're
last
talking
starter.
Eastern Conference starters right now for
Yeah.
the NBA All-Star game coming up.
Now this is one where it is Carmelo Anthony.
Melo.
But what in the world is up with the Knicks?
The Knicks, man.
11
I think.
and 15.
Speaking of Knicks, holy cow! Jeremy Lin, the young man from Harvard, is blowing up the New York Knicks. I don't know if you've had the opportunity.
3 wins in a row.
Unbelievable. He's killing it. Jeremy Lin is doing so well in the NBA right now, and people slept on him, a young man coming out of Harvard.
Easily.
And I mean, after his first game, people were chanting MVP for the Knicks. So I think, how can you take anything away from that young man and hopefully his career just continues to blossom?
Yeah, you got to cheer for a kid like that. Harvard, baby. Now we're Harvard on the Bayou, but they're